2024 is an election year, of course, and voters are expected to focus on several key issues from the economy to international affairs. New CBS polling gives us a glimpse of what's important to Americans right now. And CBS News Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, joins me now with some of the results. Good afternoon, Anthony. The economy is always a top concern. This new polling. Good to see you. This new polling says 46% of Americans believe their standard of living is worse than their parents, and that's actually higher among some age groups, isn't it?
That's right, and that's so important because it speaks to this larger sense of lost opportunity more than just the immediate impact of inflation. So as you point out, we've got more people who say they're worse off than their parents as compared to better. Of course, we traditionally think of the American dream as being people doing better than their parents, so that runs counter to that. It's Gen Xers, it's millennials who are the most likely to say that. And then overall, we just find Americans, 3/4, saying that their incomes aren't keeping pace with inflation. So you look at those big picture numbers, those macro numbers where the rate of inflation is slowing. Yes, but Americans are telling us, but prices are still high, and it's having this larger impact on how they see their overall chances, Ross.
Well, you know, as you say, inflation is still a top concern. That's what the polling shows, more than immigration and gun violence even. 76% saying their income isn't keeping up with inflation. But this concern isn't just coming from the black and white data, is it? But rather 85% say it's based on their own experiences.
And that's so important because when we do see those larger numbers, inflation rates slowing, the job market being good, you say, well, what are people paying attention to? They tell us directly they're weighing more their personal experience, the people that they know around them, and what they see from businesses in and around their local communities. It's that firsthand knowledge that they're weighing a little more than those macro numbers. And I think politically, including as the White House talks about those larger numbers, there's also that difference then between what people feel like they're seeing in their pocketbooks and on the ground, Ross.
You know, it is really interesting because inflation, the rate has slowed over the last year from around 9% down to 3%. So there is a disparity. So let's get right to President Biden's handling of inflation and the economy and unemployment. The vast majority of Americans disapprove of how he's handling it, between 55 and 70%. But by most measures, the U.S. economy is rock solid.
Yeah, well, it does remain low, his handling of inflation. And look, that started very much as inflation really took hold and was coming up in the polls as the most important problem. His approval rating and his rating on inflation went down accordingly. So this is going to be something really important to watch in 2024 if people feel like there's an improvement. But as we mentioned, there's the rate of inflation, and then there's the actual prices that they're paying. And then there's that larger sense of how they feel the economy works coming out of this. And what they tell us is that they feel like the period post-pandemic, where they've seen inflation, and including the pandemic period, the shutdowns, the economic impact of that, which they feel contextually were the most difficult that America's faced in generations. That's the comparison they're making, and that's how they're framing it. So it's that very personal impact, Ross.
It is so interesting, that disparity and how they personally feel despite the numbers. You know, when it comes to Biden's handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict, the disapproval has only grown now from 56% back in October to 61% right now. It's odd because the same polling also shows the vast majority of people believe that he's shown the right amount of support for Israel. 62% in October, that down slightly, but still above 50%, 54% right now.
Well, there's two parts of this. One is gauging the impact of what his administration is doing, and you see more people now feeling that his administration's approach is not having an impact in bringing that conflict to a peaceful resolution. That's number one. Number two, within those numbers of support, we do see an increase in the number of Democrats who feel like the Biden administration is providing too much, showing too much support for Israel. Now, that's important because politically back home, of course, any president wants to have that more unified party on his handling of any foreign policy approach as well. So those are two numbers that I point to that might underpin some of that little bit of drop in support for how he's handling the conflict overall, Ross.
So interesting, all this polling data. Anthony Salvanto, CBS News Director for Elections and Surveys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to talking to you throughout the rest of the next year. Thanks a lot, Anthony.